Hey everyone, I'm here today to talk about some of the decks I'm using for the month of June 2025. So the first deck I'm going to talk about is the deck that I'm using as the tarot deck for the month. I like to pick a tarot deck for each month, kind of to focus on and work with, and I feel like I develop a stronger relationship with each of these decks when I just focus on using the one for the month. And so the tarot deck I'm working with this month is the Good Tarot by Colette Baron-Reid. This is one of my, a favorite deck, definitely. It's definitely in like top 20 for sure. The title don't think it's like the greatest title, but it's a really lovely deck. This is a Hay House deck. Came out a few years ago, and it's kind of in the, your typical Hay House type box, pretty sturdy. It comes with a little guidebook, nothing too, out of the ordinary. You've got a thumbnail here, you've got the card, and then you've got a description. It does not have reversals in it. So if you read reversals, you're going to have to rely on your memory, but I think it's a great deck to use if you're starting out with tarot and it has kind of an oracle deck type feel to it. So you can definitely work with this one as a beginner, I think. It is an oracle deck size, kind of your typical, standard Hay House size. It is glossy for those of you that aren't, into glossy decks. I like them. I find them easier to pick up, easier to shuffle. I know people don't always like them because of the, obviously you can see reflections off of it, but I find when you're doing actual, like lots of readings, it can be, they're just a lot easier to pick up. And so these are the back, nothing really to write home about too much, but it is more the imagery on the deck I like. Now the size is, like I said, it's a bit bulky for shuffling and stuff, and some people might find that a bit of a negative, but I work with it. I shuffle with it like oracle decks. Okay, so the imagery on this I find is quite dreamlike and has sort of like a very fey mystical type, vibe to it or quality to it. Some of the major arcana names have been changed. I know that this is something that, some people don't always like. Like the strength card is strength, but for example, like temperance, I think is patience. I think the devil's temptation, death is transformation. So they're trying to make it like less scary. I have two minds about it. Maybe that works for some people, others, think it's kind of trying to like gloss over things. But, I think to each their own when it comes to that. I just read it like I would read a normal tarot deck. But I do love the imagery in this. I think this is this Jenna DeGrotalia that does this? I think she was the one, yeah, that did. I'm probably pronouncing her name wrong, but she did a whole bunch of Colette Baron-Reid's decks. I'm not a big fan of sort of the digital artwork, but she does it very well. So I do really like these. So we do have elements instead of the suits. So we have earth instead of pentacles, and they are kind of this browner type tone to them, this brown green. We do have the water instead of cups, and they often have sort of this mermaid type vibe, which I really love. Here we've got a beautiful seahorse for the Ace of Water. Very, very cute. He's holding his little bubble. So sweet. Again, we have messenger instead of knights. I actually am not a huge fan of when they change the core card names, because I often find that it is not as easy to remember what is what, and I do prefer more traditional type archetypes, I must say, for myself. So the fires tend to have this kind of fiery type imagery and be a little more orangey or a little more purpley, which I love. Do have this beautiful Buddha for the Ten of Water. A lot of water cards going on here. Earth cards, again, they're kind of that brownie type of imagery and very fey, like very earthy kind of vibe to it. We've got the Fool card here, very pretty. High Priestess. We've got the Hermit card here with the door. The air card tends to have angels in it. It's a blue, like both the water and the air are blue, although the water tends to be a little more blue-green. But you kind of get the idea, like I do love that there are the different colors to the suits. And I really just enjoy this imagery. I think it's really, really lovely. And it has this sort of fey-like energy to me, like the call instead of judgment. Not a huge fan of that, but I do like the cards. And I think they're just lovely for summertime and this time of year. So I really do enjoy working with this particular deck. So that's what I'm going to be working with for this month. Decks that I'm pairing it with. So the first one I'm going to talk about is one I showed last month, and that is the Lustrous Lenormand. I'm using this deck for both May and June, sort of that spring and into early summer. I think the colors on this are just gorgeous. So that's the box there. And then here's the actual cards themselves. I love all the juicy colors in this. And I think it goes well with the Good Tarot because of the colors. So, oh, well, Compass and Ship. I mean, come on, that's perfect. We have Clouds and the Two of Air. I love kind of the purples going on in both of these, or Two of Fire, pardon me. The Dog and the Five of Earth. Again, the greens kind of match. So I think these two go together well. And if you've ever gotten a reading from me, you know that I combine the cartomancy cards like Lenormand or Kipper with the tarot. So I kind of like the pink and the blue together. I think that's lovely. Got the Emperor and the Lady, sort of that masculine and feminine together, Beauty and the Beast type vibe. I think that works really well. Got Lilies and the Knight of Wands or Messenger of Fire. This is the Page. See, that's a problem when they mess these up. I always have to remember. I think that's really pretty. The King of Air and the Bouquet. Again, the bright colors I think are just setting each other off. The World and the House. I do like this. The blue and the blue, the yellow and the yellow. I think there's some. I always love these kind of like synchronicitous or like happenstance kind of pairings that come along. So we have the Woman and the Three of Air. I like the turning away that's going on here. Like she's reading the letter and this person's turning away. So maybe this is like, you know, there's like some bad news that she's received. Oh, this is interesting. We have the wing here, the angel with the wing, and then we have an angel here with the Page of Air. Oh, okay, so I guess messengers are knights because we've got pages here. Okay. Ah. And then the Ring and the Eight of Air. I think these go together really well. I think this is like a pretty good pairing. So that's the Cartomancy deck that I'm going to be working with this month. Now, I also like to pair these with a Oracle deck. And so one of the Oracle decks that I'm working with this month is the Fairy Forest Oracle. This is an old favorite of mine. Again, I always find May, June, July, I really just think Fae vibes, fairy vibes with this. This is a Lucy Cavendish, and the artwork is Maxine Gold, and this is just wonderful, beautiful artwork. Like, the backing I've heard mixed reviews about, but I do like the fairy door that's going on here, and there's just like beautiful, beautiful artwork that's happening here. And so again, let's pair these together. Let's take a look. Where are we here? And I do like that it's not just summer fae in this. We've got like sort of fall and winter vibes going on. These two are quite different colors. We've got Cunning Woman and the Seven of Air, and those meanings those definitely go together. The Six of Water, and we've got the Ancient. It's kind of cool. Oh, this one's, oh, these are both, okay. Before the Gathering and the Eight of Water. So sort of like retreating before you gather. It's anticipation. Do like that. The Seven of Fire and the Duria? Healer, Nourishment, Nurture. So again, you've got this kind of magical fae type vibe going on. Oh, I love this with the wings and the wings together. So Queen of the Darkwood Elves and Queen of Air. I think that's quite lovely. We've got the Eight of Fire and we've got Freyr. I think these are really lovely. This very much makes me think about some of the romanticy books that I'm reading right now with all the faes, you know, going on, very Aquitar. The Vulva and the Tower, beautiful. I think these go together really well. I think we've got all sorts of fairy, mystical type vibes going on, and I think it's really, really lovely. So, great deck. Elven Touch and Knight of Fire. I think these go together very well. I'm going to keep saying that. And then, of course, I've got to pick out another fairy deck because I have to, of course, for this time of year. Do love working with this stuff. So, sorry, I'm going to put that over here. This deck, unfortunately, is out of print. The others, I believe, are still in print, that you can still get them. And this one I don't have the box for because it came in kind of like a flimsy type box back in the day, but this is the Heart of Fairy Oracle. This is by Brian Froud. You can still get, I think it's just called the Fairy Oracle, but the Heart of Fairy one isn't around anymore. It did come with this hardcover book, and they've got like a sort of sepia toned thumbnail in here. They've got the title of the card and then the keywords here and then the meaning. I do love this. This tends to be one that's focused a little more on relationships than the original Fairy Oracle by Brian Froud. So it has a slightly different tone, but again, you've got this wonderful Fae-like vibes. I've just put it into this case here. This is where I keep this one. These are the backings here. This beautiful heart with wings. And then you've got your imagery here. So again, let's take a look at what we've got here. If we go together. This is one where you have to look at the book. There isn't like really keywords on this. So some people I know, if they're looking at Oracle deck, they want to have the little keywords on it. So just a note about that if you ever come across this deck secondhand. Ooh, the Paradox. That is a creepy one. The Page of Fire. The Blessing with the Queen of Fire. I do like that. The Juggler and the Magician. I think those go together quite well. They've got a couple of these cards where it doesn't have a meaning or anything on it. You're supposed to have your own kind of meaning or association with it. So we've got the Chariot here with all these little mushroom guys. I think that's really cute. The Magician and the Hanged Man. Question and Four of Air, resting and asking yourself the question. Very cool. Transformation. So this is a death card with the Elven Knight. Joy of the Future and the Five of Fire. So like not letting the small annoyances take our joys away. The Fairy of Naughtiness and the Three of Fire. I love this. I love the little Fairy of Naughtiness there. Very cool. The Heartless Love and Nine of Earth. Oh, that's an interesting combination. How they're both kind of facing the same way. Interesting. The Star Fairy and the Eight of Earth. Oh, those are interesting parallel. The wings and the wings, individual standing there. And then Oh No and the Page of Earth. Very silly. Very youthful energy there. And then the Maiden and Temptation. So interesting. I think these decks all go together really well. So those are the decks. Actually, I do have one more deck before I go. And this one is one that probably I'm not going to be using in like the readings I do for others, whereas all these other ones, if you get a reading from me, whether on the Patreon, I have subscriptions to readings, and I also have like weekly tarot scopes. And then, of course, if you get a reading from me at Etsy shop, you'll probably see these decks, unless it's like a reading where I use like very specific decks for. But this is one that I'm using just in my own practice, and I like to have an affirmation deck. And for summer, I'm using, for like June, July, August, I'm using the Butterfly Affirmations by Alana Fairchild. It's a deck I picked up that, you know, it doesn't come with a guidebook or anything. And I'll put that card there. So the backs are all just butterflies. Like they're all different. Like every single one is a different butterfly, different image, really beautiful for this time of year. But then on the other side are some just really lovely affirmations. The love within me is more powerful than doubt or fear. I choose happy and loving thoughts. I feel good and express love for myself and others. Every dark night must turn into a bright new morning. Today I dare to do something differently. I make a positive difference in the world, even with my smile and words. When I don't know what is happening, I choose to be curious and excited about what's going to be. So all these just really lovely, lovely affirmations. And so I'll pick one once a week and work with that. I just think it's a really nice way to kind of have a bit of a positive spiritual practice of affirmations. And I love these for summer, like the beautiful, like even the fronts here with the pastels going on. I just love all the colors. And then of course you've got the backs with all the wonderful, amazing butterfly paintings. So it's just a really cool, happy summertime deck that I'm going to be working with. So let me know if you like any of these decks, what your thoughts are on them, or any on your wish list. Let me know what your thoughts are. I would love to hear. Thank you to all my patrons for supporting me. You guys are the best and help me to keep doing this. And thank you to all of you who watch this and to comment and subscribe. I really appreciate all of you. And I'm sending you lots of, well, I have to do it, peace and love.